How's it going, everybody? This past week, I was talking to somebody and giving them some kind of early to mid-career advice about how to plan their career, what kind of roles to go for, etc. I found myself giving a weirdly specific piece of advice, and I basically said, how well you program is correlated to how much money you make. And I thought about it a few different ways, and it kind of seemed true. I did some research on Indeed, I kind of asked around, I thought about it a little more. If you take two kind of random tech infrastructure ops, like automation jobs, and you don't know what they pay, but just looking at, you don't even know what the titles are, but you just see what, giving you the horns here, I don't know why, and you just see the kind of percentage of time you would spend programming in each of those roles, you can predict which one will pay more and be the more glamorous job, be probably at a better company, have a better lifestyle, more free time, etc., by picking the one that has the higher percentage of time spent programming. So in the first part of this video, I'm going to talk about the pattern itself. And in the second part of this video, which I hope you stick around for, I'm going to talk about how you can take advantage of this pattern to get yourself to the right side of this spectrum. For example, silly example, but still, you take SRE just as a title, you take support engineer as a title, and again, I do not judge people based on their job titles or even their skills or anything else. It's not about the people, it's about the roles. But you take those two next to each other and you strip away the title, you strip away the pay, you can see SREs spend much more time programming. It's expected that they solve most of their problems, even if it happens like in a pants on fire, everything burning, ops emergency 4 a.m. troubleshooting session. Anything manual you do then to save the day, it is expected that becomes part of an automated solution later, not like you sign off and you're done. So in a more tech support role, the chances are high that there is little to no programming expected, and that your troubleshooting process is the repeatable thing. That's the thing that's repeating. It's not some software that you write is the thing that's repeating. And true enough, it's like average SRE is making like $200K a year, and the average support person is making significantly less. I think this holds true for a lot of these jobs that people are getting into in our industry, really from support to sysadminning to kind of that cloud infrastructure ops thing to like DevOps engineer roles, which are more like software pipeline focused, to SRE jobs, which are like all of the above, but sort of you've reached the other side, right? That's like a software engineering role applied to the ops and infrastructure and systems space. So I think that is kind of the way I listed them. That's kind of the order of less to more programming skills on average required. And it also happens to be the order of less pay to more pay, less free time to more free time, less variety in your daily work life to more, less chill companies to better benefits, like way better lifestyle. Let's talk about some of the things that I have personally noticed in jobs that I've worked that required more programming just from the get-go, that it was expected. They tend to be better paid. Yes, we've talked about that. They tend to be just at companies that treat you better, often more successful companies because they sort of have their stuff together. Because so much of it is like software-based instead of like human, like linear time-based troubleshooting, like you write a thing that does a thing, you don't do it yourself all the time. Because that's the case, I think these companies can often operate at larger scales, which means that more interesting work might actually be available as part of your job. It might be less repetitive, it might be more, you just have more variety of stuff, interesting things to work on, to learn. The interesting thing is, whenever I say scale, people start screaming in the comments about how Google is not the end-all be-all of tech jobs, and I agree. That's why I don't work at Google. But I would say that the better you are at programming and software engineering, the more chill, even super chill jobs get. So like, again, no judgment. Like I only respect people who climb the career ladder as hard as they can. Let's take, for example, if your dream job is just absolutely relaxed, like kicking it in a really small company as their sysadmin who kind of does a little bit of everything, right? Programming might allow you to automate away most of your work and then really just act as a supervisor for your little programs, for the software you've written, which again makes the job way more chill. It's like now you have, 7 out of your 8 hours a day are free and the rest is like a few phone calls, restarting a script, checking that things are still working. I think no matter what you do or what your career goals are, it's just like, it's good advice to get better at programming than you are right now, wherever you are. So do I think that that means, well, let's all just become software developers? That's not what I'm saying. All right, in the next section, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I think you can take advantage of this pattern and some exceptions to it. This video has been sponsored by Notion, which is pretty amazing. I use Notion to organize my knowledge, my projects, and big chunks of my life, including the videos that you see on this channel. You can see a few examples of the things I have done with Notion. So like I have started little businesses using Kanban boards. I am not a person who can project manage just like left to my own devices. And so I find that Notion really gives me an interesting and useful kind of skeleton for my thoughts and ideas, so that they're not all just kind of lying in a useless heap somewhere, but that they're actually structured in a way that's going to help me get things done. I could make a much longer video on how much I like Notion and how I use it specifically. But for now, I just want to say it's an amazing tool for like note-taking, task management, project management. I've seen that they've built it out for teams now. So like it is legitimately better than many of the project management and task management things that I've used at different companies. The other thing I really want to call out is how customizable Notion is. They have basically wrapped relational databases in a really easy to use way so that you can actually leverage relational databases for your stuff. I'll just show you one quick example of how I do that. To organize ideas are connected to other ideas. If you've ever heard of the Zettelkasten method, this should be familiar. Ideas are basically related to other ideas, and kind of composing and relating ideas to each other is what builds this like kind of network of knowledge in your head. It certainly does for me, and it lets me have new ideas kind of based on the relations between old ones. A relational database is a pretty cool way of representing that and making it kind of indexable, searchable, and easy to work with. The amazing thing about Notion really is that it gives you all of these raw, powerful primitives, tons of which I haven't mentioned, and it kind of lets you build your own perfect system for whatever the task is, whether, like you saw before, it is creating content or kind of creating some software or managing a project or kind of business, whether it's just relating hundreds of ideas to each other to build this kind of network of linked ideas in your mind that you can quickly grab for, I don't know, writing a paper, citing, whatever. You can use it for task management and lots of other stuff. It's a way to build your second brain, which is another thing that if you've heard of it, you might be interested in. Thanks to Notion for sponsoring this, and I'll see you back in the video. So let's talk about why not just programming. This is where the real distinction for this pattern comes in. The way you can take advantage of this is by increasing your programming skills if you already have skills in something else. If you just become a software engineer and you don't have any skills outside of like wielding your programming language, I think you would earn less than someone who had less programming experience, but combined it with another skill like Linux, like networking, like cloud infrastructure, like math, if anyone's interested in data science, like finance, if anyone's heard of quants who make 500 grand a year in cash. If you're into languages, like you're a linguist, if you're a linguist, you make 30K a year. If you're a linguist who knows Python, you make like 100. It's that combination, I think, that makes this so powerful. And I think that's how you take advantage of this rule. I'm assuming that if you're on this channel, you're learning Linux, you're doing something else, you are coming from a background that already has given you some other skill, some skill other than programming. If you're here, it's probably Linux, it's probably networking, it's probably cloud infrastructure. You take any one of those roles and you add a bunch more programming, you're going to be better at your role. I think you'll have better prospects in your career, you'll have an easier time in interviews, that's for sure. And you'll just have the ability to work at a scale of problems or just a variety of interesting problems that you wouldn't have access to before. This is really just an idea I'm playing with, it's just a thought. I'm really interested in hearing what y'all think about this and your own experiences. I'm more interested in your experiences than your thoughts, actually. I'm interested how, if you have gone from kind of like more junior positions or from the same kind of industry with less programming skills to more programming skills. I don't know why I just did this very strange sweep here, but that's more programming skills. Then I'm interested in kind of, have the jobs gotten better? Have they gotten more interesting? What has it allowed you to do? How has it changed? Am I totally wrong? Am I making all this stuff up and this just represents my experience? I don't think so, but I'm willing to concede that if it's true. So thanks everybody. Yeah, appreciate it. These are useful. Like and subscribe as always. And you know, I'll keep doing my thing. This sort of strange mix of technical and non-technical and career and whatever. Peace.